What is going on, everybody? My name is Will, and thanks for checking out this episode of The Monthly. Whether you like it or not, facial recognition technology is the way of the future. Security systems have been implementing it for years, and even the average consumer has started to see more improvements and implementation in their daily lives. Think about it. Now, at the simple sight of your face, your phone or computer can open right up, and that's more than most married couples can say. But just like the humans developing it, can facial recognition software be racially biased? Let's get started. Remember when Facebook started introducing features for automatically tagging your friends in pictures? Well, that's a form of facial recognition software. Now, remember how bad it used to be? No. Things have vastly improved since then. In fact, if you can name a tech-based company, you can name a company with facial recognition software. Facebook, IBM, Microsoft, Apple, Amazon, Google, all of these companies have software that's in constant development with the rest of their technology. And last year, an MIT study was done comparing the accuracy of companies' facial recognition capabilities. IBM achieved 99.7% accuracy. A company called Face++ achieved 99.2% accuracy, and Microsoft achieved 100% accuracy. And that is incredible. Until I tell you that these numbers specifically reflect accuracy for white male faces. The numbers begin to slide when the faces become female. Even worse are the numbers for a man with darker skin. And of course, the lowest numbers are for women with darker skin, with IBM coming in at just 65% accuracy. 65%? Lady Gaga isn't even 65% human. Girl's 40% tears. And by the way, even though they weren't a part of this particular study, Amazon, Apple, and Google have all had their own PR disasters related to biased facial recognition as well. The MIT study was completed by a woman named Joy Buolamwini, perhaps the leading voice in the complexities of facial recognition bias today. Joy calls this phenomenon the coded gaze. The coded gaze, of course, refers to algorithmic bias and should not be used as a term for closeted video game characters. Hey, we're here for you, buddy. The concept behind the coded gaze actually appeared on the political landscape recently, when Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez touched on it at a talkback event in January.
Or you see over and over again, whether it's FaceTime, they always have these racial inequities that get translated because algorithms are still made by human beings. Right. And those algorithms are still pegged to those two basic human assumptions. Right. They're just automated. And automated assumptions, it's like if you don't fix the bias, then you're automating the bias. And then that gets even more dangerous.
AOC gleaned a lot of attention for these comments, including this standout tweet from a conservative reporter. Socialist rep AOC claims that algorithms that are driven by math are racist. It's a solid argument. Likewise, how can makeup, which is made up with paint, be racist? The material itself is not racist. It's what you, a human being, mend it into. So of course math as an algorithmic material isn't racist. If a human has control over the outcome, however, that human's race and gender biases will always bleed into it. The opposite is also conceivably true. Take weather, for example. It's one of the few things that humans have virtually no control over, and so it can't be contaminated by our prejudice. And that's why you don't see raindrops falling from the sky telling women to cover up and smile more. So how can we address an issue if its root is at the human level? The answer makes a lot of sense. Diversity in the workforce. Facial recognition developers typically test out their software in two ways. Training sets, which are groups of sample faces provided for them, or by simply using themselves and coworkers. Unfortunately, training sets have already proven to be racially disproportionate. And when a company hires all white, all male developers, that's how we end up with software that is more geared towards recognizing those faces. This is nothing new. We see this in Hollywood all the time, right? With mostly white, mostly male screenwriters turning out mostly white, mostly male protagonists. In fact, of the Marvel characters currently considered to be part of the Avengers, 52.4% are white human men, 14.3% are black human men, and just 9.5% are human women, putting them just above raccoons and foliage. More importantly, we see it in Washington, with mostly white, mostly male politicians turning out laws that mostly benefit white male citizens. And of course, I'm not saying that developers, writers, and politicians are hell-bent on creating a segregated world, but in a lot of situations, they're acting under privileged negligence. White men not thinking of taking a walk in other people's more fashionable shoes. You know who wouldn't be negligent? Women and people of color. Because while movies are avoidable, tech is not. Something as menial as the hiring of software developers can and does have a very real domino effect on every single one of us. And if technology doesn't represent and work for you, you can't just opt out. In fact, a study out of the Georgetown Center on Privacy and Technology finds that 50% of American adults, 150 million people, are already in a law enforcement facial recognition network. Yeah, flip a coin. Heads, you're already in the system. Tails, run. Internationally, facial recognition is already being used to identify criminal suspects on crowded city streets. Criminals committing theft, assault, and murder, i.e. the last thing we need biased algorithms accusing innocent people of. And the implementation of that tech is coming to America too, whether the accuracy of our software is up to par or not. This should be such an incredible thing, right? A great way to remove society's crippling problem of human bias in the police force would be to have computers take on some of the judgment calls. But if we're gonna make computers just as bad as us, we might as well push to have them voiced by Liam Neeson. Instead, we need to avoid doing exactly what Joy and AOC warn us of.
If you're looking at most of the world, you're looking at women and people of color. So if you're narrowly focusing technology to serve a very homogeneous group, and the technology is being developed by a homogeneous group, you're actually missing the majority of the world.
So listen up, Sketchers. Even if this doesn't affect you, you can still put your privilege to good use. Use your vote and whatever professional pull you might have to support women and people of color. We have the opportunity to beat the coded gaze and create a tech-forward world with minimal bias. And at the end of the day, we should all be able to unlock our phones and get arrested for murder equally. That is it for this episode of The Monthly. Thank you so much for watching. If you've faced bias in facial recognition, feel free to share your experience in the comments below. And if there's a story that you'd like to see covered in the future, I'd love to hear your ideas in the comments as well. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, eat, pray, love. My name is Will, and until next time, have a great month.